3. So I know picking up 15, what I'm trying to do, 16, 17 more pounds is going to make a major difference. 17 more pounds is going to make a major difference. I was at 180, and through some craziness, I lost weight. Not on purpose, but because of what I was doing, You're doing drugs, a lot. You lose weight, and you don't eat. And I'm not doing that 2 years. Coming up on 2 years. Yay! 2 years sober. Yay! Yay! And God, you don't know how good that feels. It feels so good. Not to be drinking, not doing coke, not smoking ice or tea. Oh God. It is a crisis in the gay community. And I'm so lucky as I share this that it didn't go for me, that I saw my future, and my future did not look good. And I had God's hands on me saying, baby boy, I'm showing you what's going to happen if you keep going down this road. And I saw it. And I was like, no. Because I know this guy that I used to, I'm going to say party with. I saw him. I had just left the doctors. And I saw him on the street with flip-flops on in the summer. Had a little bag, but it looked like he was homeless, and it looked like he might have been high because he was talking to himself. And he was walking around, and I saw him. Because I haven't seen him on any of the social media. Or any, because I don't know when I say social media, like Jack. Or I haven't seen him. I used to see him all the time. But I haven't seen him. And so I saw him, and I went, oh my God. Because I remember when I would party, he wasn't doing it. Because we would hook up, and he was like, no, I don't do that. I don't do that. I may smoke a little bit of weed. And then I know maybe 6 months later, we were hanging out at somebody's house. And that was happening. And he took part. I remember saying, oh, you're doing this now. He's like, oh, yeah. I mean, I do it, not so. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the story goes on. We're not going to go into the story, but yeah. And now he's, I don't know if he's homeless, but he did look like he could have been. Because he's carrying, I don't know. It was just like, oh, wow. Because I know people who, do that stuff, especially that ice. And in a year, it can take somebody out. I mean, when they're homeless, I'm so lucky that it didn't do that. That, my rock bottom was not that rock bottom. My rock bottom was not losing a job or being homeless. I mean, it would have been if I would have continued on that path. And I saw that. I saw that 2 years ago, what was happening. Because I was New Year's Eve, and I stayed up. The week before New Year's Eve, around Christmas, I think it was Christmas Day, I was high until New Year's. Like, literally. Very little sleep. And then I had a psychotic break. Checked myself into the hospital. I was at a hospital from the second day. Was it the second day? Or New Year's? For New Year's, I checked myself in the hospital because I had been high 5 or 6 days before, nonstop. Had a nervous breakdown. Thought people were trying to kill me. Thought my roommates were trying to kill me. Called the cops, but the cops were so nice, and I was a black man. The cops did not show any sign of aggression. As I'm running to the hospital, and they're riding beside me, they showed no. They just followed me. They didn't. It was, and they were 2 Spanish guys. And I think it would have been different. I do if they would have been white. They were white passing, but I can tell by how they looked, their features, that they were Spanish, probably Mexican or something like that. And I do believe if they'd been white cops, they'd have been too trigger happy, and it could have turned really bad here in New York. So the only reason I think it didn't turn bad because they were not white cops. Because they would have looked at me as being, how dare that black man? He's running. He's not, whatever. He see us, he should stop. Yeah, it would have turned bad. I don't think I would be here today if it would have been two white cops. So I do believe that I'm here today because the cops were Latin, and they were super respectful. They didn't even, when I was running, they didn't even get, they just followed me to the hospital. I checked myself in. It was really bad. I had to be sedated. And then I stayed the whole weekend. Of course, they did blood work and found all this stuff in my system. And they gave me a list of rehabs and all that stuff. And I knew about NA because I had already had NA 7 years, some time ago. Then, through this anxiety around 40, I went back out. And I said, okay, it has no place else to go but down. If I keep going doing this, it's just going to go down. It has no other place to go. So either I step it up and do what's right, or I pretty much give up and go down that hole. And I knew I had a lot more to give and a lot more to say. So it took me a week to decide if I'm going to go back to NA because I knew the program works. It wasn't about the program not working because it did work. It worked for 7 years until I decided I didn't want to do it anymore. It took me a week, but I knew when I went back on that 5th, it took me a week, I think on the 10th or something like that, I was like, okay, I'm ready. So I came back. Not too long ago after that, a good little while, the pandemic hit. Every day during the pandemic, I was so happy that I wasn't using. I would wake up in the morning when things were shut down, so happy that I was able to experience that. And I didn't have any anxiety. I know there were people who were new in recovery and people who relapsed, but I thought I just took it as a time to revisit myself. You know what I mean? I took it as a time to revisit me. And I remember every day I got a sponsor real quick. I knew what to do. The program gave me 7 years of sobriety. It taught me everything I need to do. So I knew what I needed. But when I saw my sponsor at a meeting, it was a celebration. In New York and California, they do celebrations completely different. This beautiful black gay man stood up and he was speaking for someone. One of his friends it was their birthday and he was speaking. And just his whole demeanor and the way he commanded the space, and you can tell he was comfortable in his gayness. And I just thought, that's my sponsor. And so I encouraged up the thing to ask him if he would sponsor me. And I can't remember if he said yes or no. I don't think he said yes right away, but he did take my number. We spoke, and he invited me to that weekend to Washington. And that's where I met the man of my dreams on that trip to Washington. So nothing is coincidental. And he's my sponsor. That's great. And so during the pandemic, I just thank the universe every day. God, I'm so happy I'm not using it. Because that would have been miserable. I might have lost my apartment because I probably would have had, when you're coked up and high on tea, you know what goes on with that. Or they had people in and out, and then I had roommates. It was just, I can just see it. It would have been a mess. Plus, I had a cat. I had my cat that I need to take care of. You know what I mean? So that was also, it was also another reason I was like, wait a minute. I had my cat, and I don't want to be homeless with my cat because I'm not giving up my cat. And my cat was the world to me. You know what I mean? So, no, I didn't. He never got abused. And even when I was running around, he always had his food and went to his doctor's appointment and stuff like that. But I can see if I kept doing what I was going to do, not only was it going to affect me, it was going to also affect my cat. And I wasn't going to have that. So, yeah. So I did what I needed to do. And in the meanwhile, I met this wonderful guy who was in the program. He was a friend. And I have been focusing on me, but at the same time understanding that, I have to nurture. I mean, I have friends in the program that I'm a texter. I don't always call it. I'm trying to break the habit of that and start picking up the phone and calling people, but my anxiety and I feel so uncomfortable. So I'm working my way up. But this particular person, I've been in constant contact and even talking. And it's a little unfair because it makes it because I have to keep being honest about that. Like, it's because I like him, and so I'm getting over my anxiety, and I'm pushing through that. But we have so many things that are in common, that are different, but there's so many things that are in common, and we have the same kind of like interests. He likes to work out. I love to work out. He loves to work out. He's helping me pick up weight. I chat with him about this, and he went to me. It's just so many things and plus I like being around him. Like I can literally be around him all day. Like I could be up under him all day. Yeah, it's just something about him that I can be up under him. Like the whole week we were in Florida. Not once did I get bored or like I can. It's like I wanted to last for longer. I felt like it was that. Felt like it was in this fairy tale. Not like Prince, all that, but it's like it was just a moment. It was a little rough because I was in my headspace, my anxiety. And I was there to see my family that I haven't seen in a while, so it's a lot of anxiety going on. But once I got settled and I got out of my own way, the last 4 days were there it was heaven. And it was just so joyful to see this wonderful black man show his light and to be a part of that. It was just really, 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 really nice. It was nice. It was super, super nice. So I'm just so grateful for the program, for my network. I'm just so grateful that I see life moving forward. I'm doing the step work. I'm seeing my therapist. I have two therapists. I'm seeing them talking about two different things. One is dealing with my mental health, and the other one is dealing with life. Insurance is great. They're both covered. Thank God I'm in a blue state. Jesus Christ. So yeah, it's great. It would be nice if in a year or 6 months I can say, oh my God, me and him are dating. He actually did like me. He just wasn't ready. I'm not gonna say I don't see it. I'm gonna be hopeful. I'm gonna be hopeful. Anything is possible. I'm going to be hopeful. Anything is possible. So I'm going to take that aspect. I hear people being friends for a while and then wind up getting married because so I'm going to be hopeful. In spite, I do know the type of guys he like, and I don't fit yet. I don't fit neither categories yet, but at least I might fit one once I pick up weight. But I'm not picking up weight because I'm picking up weight because I've been thin my whole life. And I want to see what my body looks like at 190, maybe 195. So, because I don't do anything for anybody else. I mean, when it comes to stuff like that, like even recovery, I'm doing recovery for me. I stay clean for me. I'm doing the step work for me. I'm going to therapy for me. I'm asking God for support, and I'm meditating. I'm chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo for me. So, yeah, it's just so great. God, I love this time. Spending this time and chatting, running my mouth about my stuff. And because I'm black and I'm queer, so it's black queer talk. Now, I'm trying to get comfortable so I can really dive into all the sexual stuff and the freakiness and the craziness. So just give me a little bit of time. I mean, I would like to go where I can talk to other gay men, especially black men, and talk about sex and what we do and what we don't do, and who's fetishes and all that stuff. Because I really want to dive into all that stuff, all that sexual, crazy funness. Yeah, this is wow. It is wow. Time to let that freak out. So it is. So this has been really cool. It has. It's been so nice. And I hate to say goodbye, but I'm gonna have to say goodbye. I really am. Sorry, I had to cough.